Welcome to the REV Your Agency podcast, the most candid and authentic life insurance and annuity podcast that is hell-bent on helping you be more honest, ethical, productive, and profitable. Tune in and you're going to get exclusive access to the industry's top tools, tips, tricks, and resources from the biggest and most effective producers on earth. You're going to hear real-life stories of agents that went from nothing to something, zero to hero, and how changing the lives of their clients has changed their own lives financially. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and share it with someone you think will find value as well. All right, Becky Janine Wilson.
Lynn.
That was my next guess. I know you don't believe it, but it was. It was.
Okay. I totally trust you on that.
You're so full of shit.
And I do it with
a
smile.
Doing? What's that?
I said I do it with a smile.
Good. You have, Becky, I've known you only a little while, and I've known you wonderful, and I've known you dealing with shit and digging back out and getting to wonderful. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about, was digging out. I think like you are a freaking expert at this. Here's the thing about it though, and I hope you're not offended by this, because we all go through shit. But the thing I think agents are going to get the most value from you from is this. That entire time, like being wonderful, going through shit, becoming wonderful again, or digging back out, I've never known you to be anything but positive, optimistic, and hell-bent on hard work. And that's why I thought maybe you could speak to this probably better than anyone I know.
Wow. That's a lot. So part of it comes from life experiences. And I can honestly say I wasn't always that person. There was a pretty dark place for a little bit. But what I realized is, number one, shit's going to happen. The only constant in your life is change, and shit's going to happen. And it's how we react to it. So when we react wrong, all we're doing is holding ourselves back. We never get to be the person we can become. And when I looked around and understood how much I would hold myself back, pivotal moment was when I was going through all the stuff with my kids. And you know my story. I had two daughters that went through addiction. I eventually lost one. As a result, at one point, I had custody of 5 of my grandsons, temporary custody of 2, and the other 3 that eventually stayed with me. Through all that, there was some really dark times. And at one point, I was consumed by my anger and my hurt. And my grandson walked up to me one day and he said, "You never smile anymore." And that was a step back moment for me, because I thought, what would life be if I never smiled again? And I knew then that I had to fix that. And you look at yourself every day in the mirror. How often do you smile back at yourself? I mean, really, how often do you think about what's on your face? Because what's on your face, if they can see it here, it's really eating up in here. And so I think it's a mindset. I think it truly is a mindset. And it's so funny because my generation of people didn't believe in a lot of that stuff. You know, we believed in hard work, get to the grind. Everything comes out good if you just stick to it and put your nose down and keep going. And that was a fallacy. We sold a whole generation. While it worked in some areas, there are just things that can't be overcome by hard work. There are things you have to change inside of you, not just on the outside. We can do, right? But if we don't believe in what we're doing, if we can't find contentment in what we're doing, if we can't find pleasure in what we're doing, it will never change the outcome.
Yeah.
So I made a choice. I made a choice to be happy. I made a choice to move on. I made a choice that every day I get up, God blesses me with a new day. Then number one, I have to live a better life for him and for the people around me and for myself.
I love that. So you said something like, and it hit me, maybe because I'm going through shit, maybe not, who knows? But it was about being able to smile at yourself, because I'm not going to say it's easy to smile for other people, but it's easier to smile for other people.
100%. 100%. So what you have to be aware of is what you see is what you reflect to a certain extent, no matter how much you covered up. When I told you, there's tells. And because I am an observer, and again, that comes from life experiences. You know, I was the one that knew my daughters were in addiction before anybody else did. I was the one that called it out. I'm the one that recognizes a lot of things in people because I've spent a lot of time doing that. And no matter how much we can cover up or we convince ourselves we're covering up, we're not doing the other people a favor because then they have to look back at you and pretend they don't see it. And then we pretend we don't see it. So all we've done is exacerbated the problem in multiple layers.
So how does that lead to you? And I think it's important because not everybody's watching. You sound like a freaking 18-year-old. You don't have to give away your age, Becky, but I think it's important, like all this energy, all this piss and vinegar, all this like willingness to live life and grow an agency and do all these things that you're talking about and that you're about to talk about. You know, how far down the road are you? I'm not, as far as life goes, you don't have to say your age on here, but
I don't care because here's the thing. Age is like utilities and the weather. There's not a damn thing you can do to change it. So you may as well just accept it. So I am a young 69 years old.
That's the perfect age.
I know it is.
You got to be in your 60s and enjoy all the things about it, and yet you get to, you know, catch all the benefits of being in your 70s, which we'll list those off later, right?
Right. Well, I plan on living a long time. I have lots of people that are going to really, I've got paybacks to do.
Paybacks, vindictive, Becky. Here you are talking all positive, and now you're like, yeah, I got.
No, I mean, it's like, you know, I want people to take care of me.
No, so how has this mindset affected your career? Like, what can we do? We only have a short amount of time here. Because here's something I know, and you know me well enough, you know what I've been up to and all these things, and I get in front of a lot of agents, and I would dare say 80% of them within either have recently gone through or recently overcome or are about to go through some shit. And I guess what I would like to just kind of where this conversation is evolving is, what has all this done for your career? Not that career is everything, not at all, but you know, that's why folks are here listening to this podcast. And frankly, if they're like me, if they're like you in a lot of ways, and like a lot of others, our career and how our career is going tends to affect a lot of other areas of our lives. We let it. And so that's kind of what I want to do at this point is, you know, all that you just talked about, how have you used that to drive your career forward and your life forward instead of in spite of it, like because of it instead of in spite of it? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think for me, because part of it is that I know I have a timeline. So we all have different timelines. You know, I'm not going to live forever. I know that. And a lot of people think I'm nuts even doing this. I mean, I started my business at 65. I rebranded my business 2 years later and started over again. And part of that was because I saw mistakes I made and because I want this. And I'm in a time in my life, like, I feel like I don't have anything to hold me back from doing it. A lot of people, I think, they come into this business. First of all, they've been sold a bill of goods, and they think it's easy. They think they're going to make $1 million. You know, somebody starts waving numbers in front of them. Then they talk about, you know, 160% commission, and they forget to tell them all the hard stuff. So I'm a hard stuff person. I want to know upfront what the hard stuff is because I can deal with that. I can't deal with something I don't know, and if we present people with a lot of unknowns, then it leaves too many doors for the wrong messages to creep in. For one, it leaves them too much room for self-doubt because they think if it's hard, there's something wrong with them. If they're not making $100,000, there's something wrong with them. Sometimes it is. Now, but sometimes there isn't. Sometimes it's just that it takes longer. So one of the things I found early on in my career is I make sure up front that the first thing I tell everybody, the people that I hire is, I am not going to tell you what you want to hear. I am not going to tell you the things that everybody else is, but I'm not going to lie to you. And I will always tell you the hard stuff up front. And then you can choose whether or not you choose that path. And once you do, I'll work my butt off to make sure you get there. I'll give you my time, my energy, my resources, whatever I can give you. But, you know, I want you to know up front, this is not easy. And for me, nothing much like in life has really been easy. So it's just one more thing. I love a challenge, but you have to kind of go in with it, that attitude. You have to, in order to stay the course, You have to be willing to be beat up. You have to be willing to look in the mirror and say, it's my fault. I did this. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing enough of this. I screwed up. You have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to invest in yourself too. Agents that go in and think that they're going to slide through this, that they know enough, or they've got one person they heard, you're doing yourself a disservice. There are people out here like Carson and a whole bunch of other people in the industry, but I mean, there's resources here. And the community that we have, and I don't know another one in the life space like that anywhere. But that being said, you have to invest in yourself and continue to grow and learn. And I think that's one of the things that has really, really helped me, is because I love being educated. I love learning new things. And it's not always the easiest thing to say when you're wrong or you're lacking in stuff. And as you get older, you think you know more. But I've learned a lot from this community. I've learned a lot from being around younger people. It feeds me. It helps me understand what's going on in your world. And you've been very candid with me about a lot of that too. So I like the fact that I get that feedback. And I think that if you want to be successful in this business, you have to be able to go the distance, because life is going to kick you down. It's going to kick you around. You'll have some success. You'll get kicked back down. There are things that it's constant change. I mean, in the Medicare industry right now, where I started, it's unbelievable the changes that are happening. A lot of it not for the good. It's going to hurt some people, but you also can pivot. There's plenty of business out there. There's plenty of things you can do in this industry besides one thing. And so I would encourage everybody, to keep your options open. Understand that this is not a get rich quick scheme. And if you're doing it that way, you're doing it wrong, because you're not in it for the right reason. And if you do it that way, you're probably going to get rich quick and then blow up anyways, because people are going to see through you. And don't make money off the backs of other people. Be there for other people, and eventually you'll get there. I mean, I think this is the first year that I truly feel like I'm going in the right direction, that everything feels right. I've got the base now. I have found my core values, and I found the space I want to be in. And I've tried on a lot of coats here, and I feel like I found the one that fits.
So what you talk about core values, and I know I've had that conversation with you for a long time, and you've been having that conversation well before you ever met me. Be honest, Becky, you're smarter than I am. You've lived a lot more life. You've been through a lot more things. Talk to me about core values and how those affected your life and your life insurance, or no, your life and your business,
Well, so I know we've had this discussion, and yeah, I had some basic core values. I've always basically been a person that leans on honesty. That's always been one of the things. But until I did the deep dive in the REV agency, I had no idea how much the things that I discovered about myself and what I wanted my business to be built on, how much it meant. Because since then, everything I do, every decision I make is geared around those core values. And I feel like it's the only way you can do things the right way. And I think that's the foundation. That's the foundation for your success. Because you find out, when you deep dive into your core values and your core focus, you find out who you are as an agent, as a person, as a business owner. And without that, you're going to be throwing a lot of crap at the wall and seeing if it sticks. But if you always base everything on that foundation, then at least you're making the right choices.
I feel like it's so crazy because things get so hectic. Sometimes we get desperate for a paycheck. Sometimes we have a good paycheck and we're not desperate at all. But inevitably, it always comes back to like these pivotal moments, right? Where it's like, I have to make the right decision right now. I don't have another option. If I make the wrong one, I'm done. I have to make it right now. And what's been really crazy to me is that no matter how hard I feel like I need to work, kind of like you were saying at the very beginning, there's this whole modality, and that's what my grandfather actually taught me. It's part of the story I share all the time. He said, if you always show up and you always do what you can to do what you know is good, right, and true, you all you can do. You work your ass off at it. Things are going to work out. Sometimes hard work isn't enough, right? There's this whole other side of things. And he alluded to it. He didn't skip past it. It went so fast I didn't catch it. What he said is what you know is good, right, and true. And it's like, well, what is good, right, and true? Because I can go and work hard, but hard work means nothing when I'm working hard at the wrong things. And that's what those core values and that core focus has been. And what's crazy is no matter how desperate times get, and like in those times you feel like I gotta be in it. I gotta be in the trenches. I gotta be in the shit, right? One of the most productive things you can do is step back, be alone with yourself for a minute, and really reflect on those core values and that core focus. And I know it's been pivotal to me at so many moments, even recently. What are your experiences with that as far as that dichotomy between like, I gotta go do hard work, or I need to think about the work I need to do?
It is a dilemma because you do get caught up in that because you find yourself, because all of us get to that where you're chasing the dollar or you're meeting a deadline or a bill's got to be paid. And do I do this? And I'm looking at, for instance, right now, marketing is a thing that I've really decided this year has to be my year that I really have to invest there. So I've been burnt. I made stupid choices. I've done all that stuff. I've wasted money and I'm not going to do that this time. So what I'm doing is using my core values as a basis for all that marketing. So when I talk to somebody, I want to know, are you going, I got to feel you out. Are you going to be honest? Or what you tell me, do you believe in it? What is the core values of your company? What do you stand on? And I want to know those things so that I can make that decision. And I feel like it's to the point that if I make any decisions without first visiting that pot, that little foundation, that it absolutely is going to blow up in my face. And usually it does. I mean, if you think about it, when we make those decisions on the spur of the moment, or when we got this, oh, this is fantastic, I got to do this, and I'm going to go rush over here and I'm going to put down my money or whatever it is. I feel like that's not where we're not resting on our foundation. We're not resting in our faith because, that's a huge part for me is my faith. And, we all have a little devil on our shoulder, I think, so if he's over here talking and I'm not, that's the only voice I'm listening to, it's definitely got to go all wrong. And been there, done that. So for me now, it is where I stand. Like I said, for me, it's my foundation in everything and every decision I make, even when I'm pressed, man, I'll sell something. I'll figure it out, but mostly I trust that God's going to provide. And it's not that I'm not doing any work to get there. Not like I'm like, oh, I'm just going to wait and see what God does. No, I know I've got to do my part, but I know that he'll help me make the right decision when I'm listening and it's presented to me.
So what are your core values, Becky? Like what? Actually, let me go a different direction if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I've heard your core value. I know everybody else hasn't, and maybe we'll do a whole different podcast. Here's a better question. What do you think, like, as you're using core values as a guiding light? Because core values has become a hot button. Every guru and group and coach out there is like, core values. Most of them don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. What has become your guiding light in using core values, I guess? And how does that affect your decisions when it comes to working with someone else, whether it's a lead vendor or mentoring group or even a client?
So, like I said, it's my foundation now, because once you do the exercise, man, it gets deep. And you can't, when you said the first time, I'll never forget, you said, you're going to need to take some time with this. You need to take like a day, maybe 2 days. And in my mind, I'm thinking, first of all, it's nuts. And second of all, there's no freaking way it's going to take me that long to do this. I know what this is. I know what I believe. And I know how I want to do business. And holy shit, was I off base. I mean, you have this feeling. You have this like, well, this is who I'm, this person, But like I said, we also all have that little devil on our shoulder. So for me, it really defined it in a way that stepping outside of it now is effort. And so there are people I literally walk away. There has been agents that I have let go of. There have been vendors that I won't do business with. there are people that I won't associate with because they just don't fit in that box. And I'm okay with that. I mean, I may not be, I may not be somebody that's going to be, top of the table. Who knows? Whatever it is, if that's what keeps me from being. I may not be the person that is all over social media and everybody knows my name. Of course, a lot of people do, but not maybe for the wrong reason. But anyway, I think that I'm okay with all of that as long as I'm okay with what I'm doing. And I know that it's good, right, and true. I know that my foundation is intact. Because, man, when you open that up, you open yourself up for when you step outside of that, if you've truly done the work and you step outside of that, you will not be able to face yourself.
Damn, Becky, you're hitting hard today. What the hell?
I'm feeling it today.
Apparently. So let me ask you one last question, just kind of wrapping up here. And then I promise I'll let you have the rest of your day back. If, God forbid, you were driving down the road later today, there you are in a club wagon, like a 1993 Ford club wagon, the one with the curtains on it and the AC unit on top.
You just have to do that, don't you? I drive a hot car.
No, you're in the club wagon. Fine. You're in a Miata.
Okay.
I've seen how tall they grow, Becky's. You're in a Miata. Okay. So there you are in a Miata. It's a 4-cylinder, but the bitch has turbos.
Oh, yeah. I don't do 4 cylinders ever.
And what's your favorite hamburger joint, by the way?
Oh, gosh, I don't eat hamburgers. I'm sorry.
Okay, so forget that. There you are. You just cruise through Burger King, got you some of that flame broiled stuff, and one of them original Whoppers. And you're cruising, and you rumble over a bump. Tomato slides out the back. It's on the floor. So there you are, fishing around on the floor because you're a tomato fiend. And how do you eat a hamburger without a tomato? Right? So you're fishing around on the floor, not paying attention to the road. And it just turns out that your Miata, your turbo Miata, comes to a stop on the train tracks. There's this train coming. It's just barreling down. What's your favorite music of all time? Your favorite band? Or
I don't have a favorite.
So there it is, Tom Petty. Tom Petty is playing so loud you can't even hear the train. Top's off, but Tom Petty is so loud that you can't even hear the train coming, and you're fishing around on the floor for that tomato. You've got clean.
So I have to do my rap music plan then. Go ahead.
Okay. But you find that tomato. Train's coming. It's about to hit you. Your life is over. You find the tomato. You slide it in the burger. You look over. Train. Little tap of the gas. You're off the train tracks. Train goes by. You're safe. You get out to praise God. Boom. You're struck by lightning. Dead. You're dead. God forbid. God forbid.
Okay.
But if that were to happen this afternoon, and between then and now, you had one last chance to give any kind of value, to provide any kind of impact to somebody that was listening to this, what would you want to leave the world with?
Wow, that's okay. I guess I would have to go with some of my values, my faith, my family. So I would say get right with whatever God you have, whoever it is. No judgment, or whatever. Just be right with your soul, I guess I would say. Second of all, be right with your family. Make sure that they know that they love you, that you've prepared in all the ways you possibly can, that they will, if something happens to you, they will be able to go on and live the life they would live if you were still alive, even though, they're going to miss you every day, but make sure they're taken care of, and make sure they know that you love them and value them, and make sure your house is in order, that people know where to go for your documents. Don't leave stuff a mess. Don't put it off till tomorrow. Get your house in order. And then the last part is make sure you're good with yourself. Make sure you know who you are. Make sure you love who you are. Make sure you're living like you love who you are, because life is too short to have too many regrets.
Coming from somebody who's lived a little bit of life, too damn short.
It is, but I still got lots of years ahead of me. And
yeah, you do. At least 69.
Like I told you, I'm going out with fire, man. I'm burning it down.
I have no doubt in that. If there was anybody going to burn it down, it's going to be Becky. And it's going to be like Woodstock 99.
Well, the best part of it is it's fun. I'm having a ball. I'm meeting people all over the country. I am all over the world. Who else gets to do this kind of stuff? Why would I sit on the couch and watch TV? why? I get to travel. I get to see new things. I get to meet new people every day. This is the best part of life.
Anything else before we let these folks go?
Peace out.
Perfect way to end it. This has been another excellent episode of the Rev Your Agency podcast. Remember something, nothing happens if you don't do the damn work. So take what you've got from this, take what you've learned, and go implement it today. It's not about having everything. It's about having one thing and implementing it every day so that you can take your production, your agency, and the lives of everybody around you to the next level. If you could use some help with it, hit us up at revagencysyndicate.com and jump in. We run a mastermind that is dedicated and hell-bent 10 times more than this podcast could ever be into helping you have the education, collaboration, and accountability that you need to go to the next level. Whether you are captive, independent, whether you're life only, or you focus on multiple lines, it doesn't matter. We're here to help. Let us help you.